What is up, everyone? We are back with the number 4 deck of the top 5 new brews for Bloomburrow. This one is an Izzet control deck. We're calling it Big Izzet, kind of like Big Red was a deck back in the day. And so it means you're trying to get some big spell at the end to win you the game. In early game, you have a lot of removal and things like that. So Big Izzet. We got a couple pretty interesting cards that make your spells cheaper. And so Big Izzet is really going to play on that to let you kind of get away with murder, so to speak, in the early game. And then in the late game, hopefully you just kind of lock everything down and have your big creatures swing in for the win. So let's take a look. Of course, with a normal control deck, you're going to have some counter spells. So we have Phantom Interference and Three Steps Ahead. And because we're not running that many creatures, I didn't go with Make Disappear. You could potentially still go with Make Disappear on the off chance you have a creature to sack, but that's why I picked this choice. And we're going to get discounts on our spells. So potentially you could be making these 2/2 creatures towards the mid game. And so I felt this was probably a better choice here. And of course, Three Steps Ahead is just a really good card. You might even want to go up to three, probably. Could be good to have three, but we had to make some cuts in the beginning. We'll play around with the deck. We'll learn how it works out, and then we'll make the changes later. That's how we do. So these are concepts. It's gonna change. This is just the first version. So anyway, that's a good counterspell that also draws you and makes copies of your creatures, etc. So it's very, very nice. In the 2 mana slot, we're running Fires of Victory. It's a pretty solid Izzet card, which can draw you a card late game, early game. It's a good removal. So it works out pretty well most of the time. Once in a while you have issues, but most of the time it's fine. The new card here, Storm Catch Mentor. It's kind of like the Electromancer. So it's blue and a red. It's got prowess, and it makes your instants and sorcery spells cost one less to cast. And it has haste. And so this is just straight up better than Electromancer. Electromancer was just a 2/2 with the instants and sorceries cost one less to cast. So this one has prowess and haste on top of that, and just a very solid card. So normally you wouldn't want kind of cheap creatures in your control deck. I think we can make an exception for this one just because on 2 we're going to be getting our discount right away. So you might play this maybe turn 3 and hold up either removal or counterspell or something like that for 1 mana. So it's not much cost to include it and potentially could be good. You can also, do some tricks to pump it and get good blocks off of it because the size will increase and you might trick the opponent. So there's a good way to kind of play around your opponent making mistakes with this card. So I really like it, and we'll see it has some issues with it, but not too much. But I think the upside could be worth it, so we're going to try it out. We're running Unauthorized Exit in this deck because Fading Hope rotated. No more Fading Hope, so that's kind of crazy. But we wanted some bounce spells to give us a little bit of protection on our big creatures. And also, in a pinch, you can use it on the opponent's creatures to bounce something that's annoying or blocking or preventing you from winning the game. So unauthorized exit, it's good because it works on non-land permanents. It's instant speed, and it gives you surveil, which is nice for fixing your draw. So if you have a storm catch mentor down and they're trying to remove it, it's only 1 mana to hold that up and protect your creature. And you'll see later that we might even get to cast it for free sometimes if we have our other creature down here, Luge, which we'll talk about in just a second. So, yeah, it felt like it's good to have a couple of those in there just for some protection and clutch situations. We also are running Volcanic Spite. It's a 2 mana removal for creatures or planeswalkers, and it lets you kind of filter your draw a little bit, draw a discard. Um, so that could help you find the pieces that you need in some cases. We are running 3 Brotherhood ends right now. This could change potentially depending on the meta. Right now we have a pretty heavy aggro meta. It's kind of split between like domain control, which is like super high top end, cheating out some things, and then aggro on the other end in the current format. So really, really greedy deck and really aggro deck. So I got the early game sweepers in there to deal with the early game aggro. Hopefully that's good enough. Of course, you'll have to be careful with your Storm Catch Mentor because if you just play the Storm Catch Mentor on 2 and then Brotherhoods end on 3, obviously you're going to have a bad time because it just died. So you'll have to play around it a little bit with your hand. Try to get either the Mentor to have 4/4 stats so it doesn't die, or just don't play the Mentor until after. So those are kind of your choices. See what you're playing against and play differently. That's kind of what you got to do. And if we don't need it, we have Volcanic Spite, which can let us discard it in those cases. All right, let's talk about the big stuff, the cool new stuff. Luge, or however you say that. I want to say Luge, so hopefully that's correct. This is kind of one of the key cards of the deck. It's turning your lands into flooded lands, which are islands in addition to their other types. And this will get bigger and bigger for each island you have. And then it also makes your instants and sorcery spells cheaper. So if you get 1 or 2 flooded counters down, you could potentially start casting a lot of like your unauthorized exit, your counter spells, for essentially free. So that is quite powerful if it sticks around, or if you get the second one into play after the first one got killed. You'll have 2 flood counters, and you'll probably be in a very good situation at that point. On top of that, we got a few new cards which draw a lot, like Spellgyre and Season of Weaving. Potentially, these could refill your hands towards the late game, and with Luge giving you a heavy discount, that will be very, very nice. And then the other really big card we got here is Ral Crackling Wit. This one I'm not 100% sold on, but I do like the fact that in a controlled style deck, you can get its loyalty up very quickly. Every non-creature spell you cast increases the loyalty. Um, your +1 is making these otters, which are going to get bigger whenever you cast spells. So it kind of fits into this control type deck pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. You can also use the minus to draw cards. And if you ever get that ultimate, you're going to be very, very happy, I think. Um, that another reason why I included the unauthorized exit and not different bounce spells is because we can bounce our Ral with it, which is a lot of the problems you have with planeswalkers is people attack into it. So being able to bounce it is a benefit that can really change the course of the game. All right, I already mentioned Spell Gyre a little bit. It's a counter spell that's also a draw spell. It's gonna be very good when you have your discounts. Um, Even late game, it would be just good by itself because you can usually hold up the 4 mana. But obviously, early game, it's gonna be a little bit worse. So we'll have to see what the correct number is and how it works out, but it seems very promising. And then finally, I've included 2 temporal firestorms, your sweeper of choice, because we can save our big creature. And most of the other sweepers honestly rotated. So this is one that didn't. But we can also phase out either our Ral or our Luge in most cases, or even the Otter sometimes, and wipe the rest of the board so that we're in a very good situation. We're running 2 Hornlock Whales, solid bounce spell attached to a very good creature. And well, I guess both sides are just solid. I wouldn't say very good creature, but a good creature and a good bounce spell. And then 2 Seasons of Weaving. Again, I mentioned to refill your hand. You could draw 5 cards. You can make a copy of, one of your otters, or maybe the Hornlock Whale, something like that. Um, you can also bounce everything if you really want to. Maybe I don't know why you would want to be honest, but if you bounce your Luge and it goes back into the battlefield, you get another flood counter. So I guess that's not terrible. Um, so yeah, it's got a lot of upside. Probably most of the time, you're just going to draw 5 cards in a lot of the situations, which is definitely not bad. Okay. And for the lands, we did lose some of the good lands for Izzet, but not too much. We still got a decent amount. Favorable Passage, Shivan Reef, Sparbluff Canal. We're running some of the Surveil lands and the new Fountain Port to get you cards and make tokens and things like that. And then we're running two planes in the deck because of the Temporal Firestorm. I don't foresee us doing it often, and obviously with two lands, not it's not going to happen that often. But every once in a while, getting to kicker for both the white and the blue to save two of your creatures could be, you know, game winning. So I think it's worth it to include a couple of the planes in there to do that, but not too much to really affect you. All right, if that's it for Big Is It. Let me know what you think. I think this is looking pretty good in terms of control, and we'll have to see if the mentor really fits in the deck or not. If we really need the Brotherhood's End sweeper or not, depends on the meta a lot. But I'm definitely excited for Luge, Spellgyre, and even Ral is pretty interesting. So yeah, that's it for number 4. Hope you're ready for the next decks coming up, and have a blessed day. And until next time, see ya.